Good evening, folks. This is your ticker guy, Carl, coming at you from dark Niceville, Florida. I'm sorry that I am all chipper and cavalier and laughing at this point, but I just saw the most insane set of Lewinsky giving on national television that I have witnessed in the last 20 years. In fact, it's better than Clinton pounding on the desk. I did not have sex with that woman. Okay. Here's the deal, guys. Everybody in Congress is freaking out because the stock market is crashing, okay? We've seen 3 days this week where we've had 400-point plus swings, including today. But today, of course, we closed higher. Why? Because about halfway through the trading day, there was an announcement out of England that they were banning short sales of stock in the financials. So in other words, for financial stocks, you can't short them anymore over there. And that is now going to run through the beginning of the year, sometime in January 2009. That caused an instantaneous reversal off of what was a collapse in process. And the fear gauge, it's called the VIX, was at that point standing at 40%. Now, that is an extraordinary level that is normally only reached during panics. Well, we've had a panic for the last week, and it's been going up and up and up and up. Well, it was going up and up and up and up today, too, and all of a sudden, out comes this announcement. Well, when the fear gauge is that high, people who are short the market instantaneously cover because they fear getting rammed by the stampede of bulls that all of a sudden shows up in Wall Street. All right, so they cover their shorts, and in doing that, you drive the price higher. That's what happens when you cover a short sale. Why wouldn't you just ban short sales in the first place? Well, here's the problem. All right? Let's say that there are two people who have stock. I want to sell Goldman Sachs short, and this guy over here in same brokerage owns 1,000 shares of Goldman Sachs stock. To sell this stock short, I don't have it. So what I do is I borrow it from this guy. I call my broker and say, I want to short 1,000 shares of Goldman Sachs. And he says, okay, fine. And he looks in his computer and he finds this guy over here has 1,000 shares of Goldman Sachs. So he puts an IOU in this guy's account, gives me the 1,000 shares. All right, I take them and I sell them into the market. All right. Now, the money that I get is reserved. It's held in my account. I can't spend it. And the reason is because I'm going to have to buy those shares back. And every day that position is marked to the market. So if the stock goes down, I can then buy that stock back for a cheaper price, return the shares to this guy over here, take my IOU back, crumple it up, throw it in the trash, and he has his stock back and I have the money. That is the difference between when I sold it and when I bought it. It's exactly the opposite, 100% the opposite, as if you had bought a stock. All right. There's nothing particularly wrong with this, and in fact, there's a reason to allow this kind of thing. If you look at what has happened over in China's market, it is illegal to short in China. You can't short stocks. There's a problem with that, and that is that when you have people that are short, they at some point have to cover. And if they get scared, like what happened today, they all run for the door, they all cover their shorts, and this tends to drive prices a lot higher very rapidly. That's why you saw that huge move upward today that came out of the middle of nowhere, because all the shorts ran for the door instantly. You get rid of the short sellers, and all you've got left is people that own the stock. This would be great, except that those guys can get scared too, and when they do, they go to sell. What if everyone's scared that owns a stock and nobody wants to buy? You get a situation that's called no bid. That very rarely happens. It occurred yesterday evening over in Japan on the Nikkei exchange with Mitsubishi. When you get a stock that's no bid, there is no price. Essentially, the stock instantaneously goes to zero. Now, someone may buy it for a penny, but if you own it and it was $100 a share, that doesn't do a whole hell of a lot of good now, does it? Getting rid of short sellers actually destabilizes the market. So that's the first problem with what's going on here, is that this is going to produce, obviously, the instantaneous reaction in the futures market tonight is way, way up. Now, we'll see how long this lasts, but that was the instant reaction, and it is what you would expect. All the shorts are running for the door. The problem is when you run out of shorts, what's left is a collapse. All right, so this is problem number one. All right, problem number two is this RTC thing that they're talking about, which is trying to get rid of all this bad debt. This is different than it was in the S&L crisis. In the S&L crisis, we actually had banks, savings and loans actually, that went under. And so they had all of this bad debt that was piling up on the balance sheet of the FSLIC, which itself ultimately went under and had to be guaranteed by Congress. By the way, the S&L crisis was supposed to cost us $20 billion when it originally happened. It ended up costing $160 billion. All right. Now, the problem right now is that these debts, this paper, these mortgages, they aren't all worthless. But the banks that own them currently aren't bankrupt, at least not most of them. So what happens here? How do you do this? Because these banks are carrying these things around their balance sheets at a dollar, par, 100 cents. Some of them have marked them down to, say, 60 cents. Some of them marked them down to 50 cents. Well, I guarantee you the government isn't going to buy them for some fake, made-up value. They're going to apply their own idea of what a reasonable haircut is, and it's likely to be very, very low. Will the banks take that bid? No, not if they don't have to. And the problem is if they do, they're going to end up bankrupt. So this may be an interesting way to solve problems like, for example, IndyMac, which is already going under. Maybe a way to clear that paper, but if they actually try to apply this into the broader market, and that's the kind of thing we come up with, you're going to have a major problem because you're going to end up having to declare hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of banks insolvent, or when you pry this paper out of their hands at this discount, they're going to instantaneously become insolvent. Now, what's the other alternative? Well, there really isn't one, guys. This is going to require legislation, but Congress has the potential to really screw things up here in ways you are not going to like. We have roughly, my best estimate is somewhere between $2 and $3 trillion worth of losses in residential real estate to take. We've taken about $300 billion worth, maybe a little more. The rest of that's still sitting out there. Now, who's going to get it? You or the people that wrote the loans? Well, under this plan, we kind of share the pain. Okay, so get out your wallet because you're going to need it. Secondly, if we start forcing all these banks into bankruptcy, what good does that do anybody? Okay, I think you need to be really careful here with this. Of course, the problem is it's an election year, right? And these things are ticking. People are seeing their 401ks evaporate into the vapor, and they're saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to go broke." Well, yeah, you might. Okay, but let's consider the other alternative here. We start trying to do this. What happens in the Treasury market? What happens if we actually take on $2 or $3 trillion worth of additional debt? No, we've already put $5.3 trillion on the balance sheet for Fannie and Freddie. Now all of a sudden we're going to go out and we're going to go grab a couple more trillion and throw it out there. I don't think this is going to work out so well. So here's the thing. Here's the takeaways from this. Okay, today we got a huge reversal and the market was up monstrously. Tomorrow, if the futures are any indication, we're going to be up huge at the open. Now, it's also options expiration, which is going to make some people really angry that are on the wrong side of those trades. It's going to make some other people really, really happy. It's going to be a lot of cheering from certain areas of the market tomorrow. Tremendous cheering, thunderous applause, so to speak. All right, but be careful, guys. Do not buy into this rally, at least not right away. Give it time, because without the support that comes from short sellers, there's a real risk of a panic. And when that happens, the bids can disappear. And we've never seen this in the United States, not for real. We've seen it happen to some degree during the crash in 1929, when there was no bid for an awful lot of stocks. Nobody was willing to step up and buy, and the people who could short were short. All the shares that were going to be short were out. But we've never seen it in the modern era. Even in 1987, there were bids. They were just insanely low. Watch carefully, folks. This isn't what it looks like. And it certainly isn't going to save us. It may, in fact, do a great deal more damage than help.